تلقى السعادة، قم للعبادة تلقى السعادة، تلقى السعادة تلقى النعيم. رمضان زمان البركات، رمضان زمان الحسنات، رمضان زمان البركات، رمضان زمان الحسنات، رمضان مجال الصلوات، طوبى للنفس بتقواها. رمضان كريم كريم كريم، شهر عظيم عظيم عظيم. رمضان كريم كريم كريم، شهر عظيم عظيم عظيم. قم للعبادة تلقى السعادة، قم للعبادة تلقى السعادة، تلقى السعادة تلقى النعيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome to another edition of our special Ramadan series. Our guest this morning is Dr. Levi Percival, who will be discussing Ramadan and our health, right after this recitation of Al-Quran by Brother Fadil Bakos.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا بني آدم خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. قل من حرم زينة الله التي أخرج لعباده والطيبات من الرزق، قل هي للذين آمنوا في الحياة الدنيا خالصة يوم القيامة، كذلك نفصل الآيات لقوم يعلمون. قل إنما حرم ربي الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن والإثم والبغي بغير الحق وأن تشركوا بالله ما لم ينزل به سلطانا وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. صدق الله العظيم.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all my dear brothers and sisters, and I would like to extend to you and your families a blessed month of Ramadan. I sit here before you to speak on the topic of the health benefits of Ramadan. Inshallah, as we go through this discussion, we are going to touch on a few points and a few areas that the Muslim or the individual who engages in fasting can achieve betterment to their health, while at the same time achieve betterment to their souls, inshallah. As Muslims, we must be aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it clear what is the objective of fasting. And the objective of fasting is for us to achieve taqwa. And what is that taqwa? What is taqwa? Taqwa is defined as us building a shield between ourselves and the punishment of Allah by doing all that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted us to do, and staying away from all those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden us from doing. And this, we should never forget this as we approach this month of Ramadan. But as Muslims, we also believe with strong conviction that everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed for us is good for us and has benefit for us in this life and in the hereafter. And Ramadan is no exclusion. Ramadan is included in this. And in addition to the many rewards and the many bounties that one is going to get in the hereafter for his fasting, there are also benefits to be had in this life for the fasting. Hence, the objective of the discussion to touch on the health benefits of the month of Ramadan. One note is that human beings are created of both a body and the soul, and the physical or the body aspect or the physical part of our being has three main factors. That is the psychological, the biological, and the social, and is the harmonious balance between these three components that really give rise to what is defined as good health. It must be noted, dear brothers and sisters, that when we speak about the month of Ramadan and the fasting of the month of Ramadan, that we do not restrict what we think to only staying away from food and drink, as that would greatly limit what we can achieve in the month of Ramadan from a spiritual point of view and also from a health point of view. It must be considered that every single aspect of the month of Ramadan has benefits for us in the life to come and also has benefits for us in this life with respect to its health benefits. And it's this that you would have a direction or know how to best approach this month of Ramadan so that you get the best of both, inshallah. The companions, when they would think about the month of Ramadan, or when they would address or they would approach the month of Ramadan, they did not only focus on it during the 29 or 30 days of the fasting. They would actually prepare for the month of Ramadan months in advance. This etiquette, if we are to apply it to ourselves, would give us better out of the month of Ramadan from a spiritual perspective and also from a health benefits perspective. There's much to be had. As much as we don't see it, in our working towards the month of Ramadan, in our preparing for the month of Ramadan, we are giving ourselves goals. And in Islam, we have daily goals, like the 5 daily prayers. We have weekly goals in Jummah, which is on Friday. And we also have monthly goals for those persons who fast the middle days of the lunar month. That's a monthly goal. And we also have yearly goals. And Ramadan is one of the biggest things that we work towards on a yearly basis. Now, there's a saying that the tragedy in life does not lie in not reaching your goals, but the tragedy in life is not having any goals at all. And unfortunately, when persons develop mental health illnesses like depression, anxiety, these persons have in common that they have no focus, they have no goal, they're not oriented towards a particular direction. And persons who have goals in life, or persons who work constantly towards different goals, whether they're daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, or yearly goals, these persons tend to have more of a focus, they're motivated, and they have direction. And in the absence of this focus, this motivation, and this direction, persons would develop these mental health issues. And some of these mental health issues, unfortunately, lead to the unfortunate circumstance of suicide. And it therefore highlights, dear brothers and sisters, that in us having goals, in us approaching Ramadan with the etiquette of the Sahaba, the etiquette of those who would practice Islam in the way that it should be, they unconsciously get rid of a certain group of mental health issues, or they would greatly reduce how much influence these mental health issues would have on their day-to-day. The benefits of Ramadan, dealing directly into the beginning of the month and the 29 or 30 days you're going to be fasting, these health benefits are linked to the biological, the psychological, and the social aspects of our well-being. And to touch a bit on the biological aspect of the health benefits that we can have during the month of Ramadan, these are mostly linked to the fasting of the month of Ramadan. But as I said, let's not limit our fasting, or let's not limit the month of Ramadan to just the fasting. But the biological benefits are linked heavily to the actual fasting of the month of Ramadan. Just permit me, dear brothers and sisters, to give you a couple of statistics. Heart disease is one of the leading causes of death in the world. And heart disease have four major factors that contribute to its development. There's high blood pressure, there's diabetes, there's high cholesterol, and there's also being overweight. In the world today, 72% of all males are overweight. In the world today, 63% of all females are overweight, and 13% of the world's population falls in the category of obese, morbidly obese. With respect to hypertension, the second factor for the development of heart disease, 1 in every 3 adults have hypertension. As it relates to diabetes, 1 in every 10 to 11 persons have diabetes. And as it relates to cholesterol, or elevated blood cholesterol, more than 45% of the population in the Americas have high or borderline cholesterol levels. Now, these numbers, dear brothers and sisters, are very alarming. They're very scary, because for every single factor for the number one cause of death, there are high numbers attributed to them. And it's no secret, there are numerous research that has been done to proving or disclosing that fasting helps to control diabetes. It helps with insulin resistance, which is one of the pillars of the development of type 2 diabetes, which is the more prevalent diabetes that's out there. Fasting definitely, without a doubt, reduces our cholesterol levels, because we're actually staying away from foods and we're forcing our bodies to use up the excess fat and the excess cholesterol and lipids that are in our circulation to give our body energy during the day. Also, fasting would reduce our overall weight. So we have weight control, we have cholesterol control, we have diabetes control, and all of these together would help an individual to have good hypertensive control. So fasting, the literal staying away from food and drinks for a certain period of time, has and would bring about benefit on the number one cause of death and morbidity in the world, which is the development of heart disease. Fasting also greatly improves liver function. Now, the liver is a key organ in the fasting, because a lot of the time when we do not eat, or when we're in stages or phases of fasting, the first place or the first source of energy is the liver. The liver is one of those organs that has many functions, and one of it is storage. Now, fatty liver is a condition that many persons have, and they don't know that they have it. And it's a precursor for many other diseases, especially type 2 diabetes. So when we fast, we're actually using up that reserve storage in the form of fat, or in the storage in the form of glycogen in the liver, that would improve its overall function. So fasting greatly improves our liver function. Fasting increases metabolism. In the first few days of a person fasting, the body is still trying to adjust, and you'd find that in the first few days, persons feel a bit of weakness, especially around the times when they would normally eat. And this is normal, but as fasting progresses, you find that a person's energy level increases. Now, this increase in their energy level is linked very closely to an increase in the circulation of adrenaline. Now, adrenaline is one of the hormones that gives our body that extra boost. It gives our body the capacity to access food from storage, and it also gives our body the vitality that it needs to maintain itself during phases of fasting. And numerous studies have proven that adrenaline levels in a fasting person is actually increased. So during fasting, we have an improved metabolism, and that for the overall wellness of our body and overall wellness of our being is significant. Fasting also helps to detoxify our bodies. We've heard a lot about detoxification and the presence of free radicals in circulation. Now, these free radicals, they're all harmful chemicals that have the potential to trigger your cells into becoming cancer cells. And during the fasting, we eliminate and we get rid of a lot of these free radicals. As a matter of fact, cancer is actually number 2 or the second highest cause of death in the world. So during the fasting, we're actually addressing the number 1 and number 2 causes of sickness and the causes of death in the world. And this is just a fraction or just a portion of some of the things that fasting can do with respect to or the biology of our being. Fasting improves our immune system. Now, our digestive system, which is at rest during fasting, uses up roughly about 70% of our immune system. 70% of our immune system is used up by our digestive system. And that is because of the abundant amount of bacteria that is present in the digestive system. And while we continue to consume and to put into our body needs to protect us literally from ourselves. So a lot of our resources, immunological resources, are placed along the lining of the gut. During fasting, the body is able to rest the digestive system, and at the same time put a rest on the immune system, giving it the capacity to divert some of this immunity towards other systems. And that, with respect to our overall well-being, is good. Right now we are bombarded by a lot of things going on that threatens our immune system, and having the extra resource where it counts goes a long way in the preservation of health. Side note is that an individual, when they become sick, or whenever any mammal, when they become sick, the natural tendency is to not eat. And this is no coincidence that the natural disposition is to have a loss of appetite during illness. And this is because the body senses that it needs to redirect its immune system towards whatever the problem is. So it turns off our appetite for food so as to give the digestive system a rest to redirect our immune system towards a particular ailment or infection or what have you. On the same light or on the same note, the digestive system is a big consumer of our body's energy, because even when we are at rest, our digestive system is still working. Even when we are asleep, although it's reduced, but our digestive system still continues to work. So it consumes a lot of energy. And when we fast, what we're able to do is to redirect that energy towards other systems. So the immune system being redirected and our energy is being redirected towards, for example, cell regeneration, for neurological and other cell regeneration. This plays a role in preventing and also addressing some of those diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, where the cell repair that occurs during times of fasting would help in the preservation of these functions. Now, we've touched on the biological or the benefits of Ramadan or the fasting of Ramadan on the biological component. We're going to move on a bit to the benefits of Ramadan on the psychological component of our being. And this is very closely linked to our mental health, which our mental health being us being able to functionally be a part of a community, functionally be a part of a family. And, ever so often you would hear persons make the statement, I can't control myself. I just can't control not doing X, Y, or Z. In the month of Ramadan, we are encouraged, or it is part of what it entails, is the development and the cultivation of patience, and also in the development of forbearance and perseverance. Now, this patience, forbearance, all comes under the category of what is self-control. And self-control, it's a big topic. It's a very big topic. And the link between how we feel and how we act and how we behave and what's going on in our brain, the link between that is the hypothalamus. Now, the hypothalamus, it's a conglomerate of nuclear bodies in the center, more so in the base of the brain. And it acts as that link between our nervous system and our endocrine system, with our endocrine system being that system that is responsible for the liberation of our circulating hormones. And these hormones are what govern a lot of our cycles. It governs how we feel, our mood, it governs our reproductive inclinations. So when we are fasting in the month of Ramadan, we are taking control of these systems instead of these systems having control over us, placing us in a position where we say, I just can't control myself. In Ramadan, we have to stay away from speaking in a certain way. We stay away from conflicts. We try our best to do what is right. We try our best to break certain habits. And these vices that we have, they control how we go about living our lives. And in Ramadan, when we work tediously towards self-control, we are really and truly controlling how our hypothalamus affects our body. So with that bit of control that we gain in Ramadan, outside of Ramadan, when the restrictions aren't there, we're able to have that self-control and be able to manage our emotions and manage our desires in a better way, as opposed to not being able to do the same. So fasting, the development of that self-control, it's no coincidence that the hypothalamus, it controls hunger, it controls our appetite, it controls our sexual desires, it controls our emotions. So in us controlling, or in us preventing ourselves from eating, preventing ourselves from drinking, preventing ourselves from engaging in aggressive behaviors, we're training our bodies, we're training ourselves to be better, not just from day-to-day activity point of view, but also down to the chemical level of hormones. Because once we control those hormones, we're able to have a better interaction within ourselves and also with our surroundings. During the month of Ramadan, when it comes to the psychology of it, we also try our best to cut bad habits. We try our best to, deal with some of our addictions, screen time. We try to reduce it. And even if we do, we try to make it beneficial. Persons try their best to not waste time or to procrastinate. And that in itself brings with it its own psychological benefit when you're able to look at your day and realize that you didn't waste much time, that you were able to achieve your goals. These things have a positive psychological impact on how you feel about yourself and how you go about dealing also with others. The psychological benefit ties very closely to the social aspect of our being. because mankind by nature are social beings. We interact, we intermingle. And Islam gives importance to this by having many of the acts of worship, many of the acts during the month of Ramadan being done in congregation. And these congregation activities like Salah in the Masjid, with your families, you're starting your fast, and with your families, you're breaking the fast. They bring us together, or they bring individuals together in the most perfect manner, and that is in the remembrance of Allah. And that in itself is a benefit that is unique to Ramadan, or unique to the practicing, or the practicing of what are the etiquettes of the month of Ramadan, in that we're not just coming together, but we're coming together in the remembrance of Allah. And what better way to come together on that principle? These psychological or mental health benefits that I would have mentioned, they have some specific. There are some specific acts of worship during the month of Ramadan that would bring specific benefit. And one such action that is very much increased during the month of Ramadan is the recitation of Quran. The Ramadan is the month of Quran. Ramadan is the month of Salah. So in the recitation of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest. And the recitation of Quran is one of the best ways to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that brings tranquility to the heart. And a lot of the mental health disorders, as I would have mentioned, depression, anxiety, they have as a commonality an internal turmoil. And this turmoil, when it becomes uncontrollable, it escalates to a point where it starts to affect us and it affects others. During the month of Ramadan, as we recite the Quran, a lot of persons recite the Quran once or twice or 3 times over in this month. And that tranquility or that rest that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises through His remembrance is achieved during the month of Ramadan. And it really calms the person who has anxiety. So it really calms or gives a different feeling to the person who have those depressive moments. The other specific act of worship is Salah, praying. Praying in itself, or praying in congregation, or just praying by yourself. We have to, there's a level of focus that needs to be there, khushu. And this concentration that we try to emulate for every prayer, and even for the extra one that are more specific to Ramadan, the extra prayer that we do, the Qiyam al-Layl, it gives us that calm that we need to deal with different situations throughout our day. 5 times a day, and the extra that we do in the form of Qiyam al-Layl is the training ground for you to have that calm as you deal with the different stresses that are going to come to you during your day. It's actually recommended for an individual to have about 20 minutes of meditation time in their day, in their 24 hours. And during the prayer, you're focused, you're trying your best to focus on what you're saying and really making that connection to your Creator. That in itself fulfills that recommendation. And during the Ramadan, we do it for even much longer periods of time, because a lot of places, when you go to the masjid, they try to recite the entire Quran throughout the month of Ramadan, and you have much more time to work on that concentration in your prayer. On a lighter, on a side note, when it comes to the 5 daily prayers, studies have shown that it's equivalent to walking at 5 miles per hour. And I don't know how many persons have those step counters on their step counter apps on their phones, or they have the step counter on their watch or what have you. It always encourages you to get to 600 steps, to be active for at least 30 minutes in the day. Your salah is equivalent to you walking for that period of time. So in prayer, it's not the focus of the prayer, but it's also a health benefit to be had from the prayer in the physicality, in that you're moving, you're bowing, you're prostrating, So Salah, recitation of Quran, both of these specific acts of worship that are characteristically increased during the month of Ramadan have tremendous health benefits, psychological and also a bit of physical benefit as well. To move on to a few recommendations so as to really drive home some of the points that we would have discussed here. To really achieve the benefit of the month of Ramadan, the health benefit and also the spiritual benefit of the month of Ramadan, we have to follow the Prophet ﷺ. Do it as he did it. Do it as he did it, and that would increase or significantly improve how much reward, how much benefit we get from this blessed month. When it comes to the suhoor and the iftar, what you need to focus on is quality over quantity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in Quran for us to consume that which is tayyib, not that which is halal, but also that which is tayyib. And that tayyib refers to that which is good, that which is wholesome, that which will bring benefits to our bodies. So when we start our fast, let's focus again on quality over the quantity. We should follow the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 rule. That is, if you must eat to satisfy yourself, let 1/3 be for food, 1/3 be for liquid, and the other third to be for air. It's very important to eat slowly. Eat and drink slowly. Do not hurry or hurry to eat and hurry to break your fast. You see all the things that you would like and you want to eat everything at the same time. What this does is actually cause more harm than good. As a matter of fact, it would undo all of the benefits that you would have had during those 14 or 15 hours of fasting. It would contribute to you developing acid reflux. It can even give you diarrhea. And with that, with the excess in consumption of food and eating food very fast, you tend to have diarrhea. And also, it puts a very big load on what is a rested digestive system. And that can consume a lot of energy to process said food. And you find that you have difficulty in standing up for prayer because a lot of your energy is now back focused on your digestive system. So eat in moderation, focus on quality over quantity, do the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 rule. The Prophet ﷺ would have said one of the worst vessels that mankind, the son of Adam, could fill is his stomach. So let's not be among the worst of the son of Adam by trying to fill our stomachs just after a day of fasting to really undo the benefits that you would have so tediously worked for during the day. Another recommendation would be for us to maintain a mineral balance, meaning that during the day we're not eating and we're not drinking. So just ensure that in the evenings when we break our fast, that we consume a sufficient amount of fluids and stay hydrated. What we don't want to do is to consume a lot of liquids very fast, because that can actually make you become dizzy. So you stay hydrated, but consume your liquids slowly, especially just after at the point of breaking your fast. Dates. We should, as much as possible, if we have the means to it, use dates. Dates it's a whole meal. It has fiber. It makes us stay filled longer. It also has a lot of antioxidants to get rid of those free radicals that we spoke about earlier. It is high in potassium, and this potassium helps to maintain our electrical balance within our cells. And dates also is a great substitute for those persons who have a sweet tooth. Instead of using chocolates and those mineral and vitamin deprived sweets, you can use dates. And it would fulfill a sweet tooth of yours while at the same time not significantly taking your sugar levels up. Studies have shown that dates possesses the form of sugar that does not cause a significantly high increase in your overall blood sugars. So it would be something that you can use in moderation for persons who are diabetic and persons who are also not diabetic. But keyword being moderation. When it comes to the patience and the perseverance and those other aspects that are cultivated during the day, it's not a case where when we fast during the day, during the evenings, we turn off and not exhibit patience and not try our best to maintain what we'd have achieved during the day of fasting. We have to maintain it throughout the entire month, throughout the entire day, as we don't want to make one step forward and several steps backwards. So we need to, whatever little we're able to achieve when it comes to our health benefits, when it comes to our spiritual benefits, let's hold on to it and not necessarily let it go in the moments when we're not fasting or outside of the 14 or 15 hours of the day that we are fasting. There are definitely many health benefits of the blessed month of Ramadan that I probably would have not covered in this discourse with you, my dear brothers and sisters. However, it is my hope that in having this discourse, in having this talk, in having this conversation, we open that door towards that health consciousness that a lot of the time is forgotten. And as Muslims, we are always encouraged to take a middle course, take a course that is on neither of the extremes. So as much as we are fasting to achieve the benefits in the hereafter, and believe me, we all want those benefits, we also have to be conscious of the health aspect or the health benefit aspect of the month of Ramadan and try our best to maximize on achieving both of them. I would like to close by giving the following hadith narrated by Abu Bakr. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "You will not be given anything after a word of sincere faith like wellness. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for wellness." My dear brothers and sisters, the best thing after sincere faith is well-being. With this, I'd like to thank you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and your families in this glorious month of Ramadan and also outside this glorious month of Ramadan. And may we all be among those who benefit both in this life and in the hereafter from the same, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Inshallah, in tomorrow's program, we will discuss gratitude for Allah's numerous favors. We close with dua kafara. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Until tomorrow, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
رمضان صيام ودعاء، رمضان أمان وصفاء، رمضان صيام ودعاء، رمضان أمان وصفاء، رمضان سلوك وعطاء، أهلا بقدومك يا رمضان. رمضان كريم كريم كريم، شهر عظيم عظيم عظيم، رمضان كريم كريم شهر عظيم عظيم عظيم. قم للعبادة تلقى السعادة، قم للعبادة تلقى السعادة، تلقى السعادة تلقى النعيم.